Ukraine is accusing Russian forces of destroying a critical hydro dam in southern Ukraine. Ukrainian officials are warning of a potential catastrophe. This is video obtained by Reuters showing the damage this morning. Drone video gives us a wider view showing the huge breach and the millions of tons of water from the Dnipro River now pouring through. Flooding is already being reported downriver. This is video into us from Ukraine's public broadcaster showing floodwaters in Kherson. Ukrainian officials are ordering evacuations from low-lying parts of the city and from communities along the river. Tens of thousands of people are affected, and officials warn vital infrastructure is threatened too, including the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. We begin our coverage with Briar Stewart in London. What is the latest information on what happened to this dam, Briar?
Hi, Heather. Well, we should start off by just saying that there is a lot of conflicting information out there, and in particular, unverified video that is popping up on social media. So I think we do have to be careful when we talk about what has happened with certainty. But certainly what we do know is that there was a major breach in the Nova Kakhovka Dam. And this is a dam that spans a 3-kilometer section of the Dnipro River. And it was destroyed, really just unleashing a torrent of water, which has caused downstream flooding. Now, you have Russia and Ukraine blaming each other for this. Ukraine says that Russia blew up the dam to prevent its forces from moving across the river because the Dnipro River is a very strategic place. In fact, when Ukraine liberated areas of Kherson in the fall, you had Russian forces that moved south of the river, and that's where they built up their defensive positions. So you would have had a lot of Russian trenches and other defenses in that area. And so you have had this major breach that is affecting communities on both sides of the river. We have seen footage of flooding in a number of places. We know that there are evacuations underway. And you have international condemnation, really, from a variety of officials. You have the UK Foreign Secretary, who just happens to be in Ukraine at the moment, speaking out about this. And you also have the Secretary General of NATO. Take a listen.
The destruction of the Kakhovka Dam today puts thousands of civilians at risk and causes severe environmental damage. This is an outrageous act.
Now, Russia is blaming Ukraine for the damage to the dam, saying that Ukraine has done that because it wanted to disrupt the water supply to Crimea because part of the river was diverted to supply the canals in Crimea. They also think that Ukraine has done it, or they're claiming Ukraine has done it because they want to distract from what Russia calls its faltering counteroffensive. I should also note that early on there were a lot of conflicting reports out of Russia as to what exactly happened. Some officials said there was no issue with the dam to begin with. Others pointed to structural failures, but now they are blaming Ukraine for destroying it.
What are officials saying also, Briar, about the potential risks for the nearby Zaporizhia nuclear power plant? We've talked often it is the largest nuclear power plant in Europe, and it too threatened by this.
Yes, that power plant sits upstream from this dam. And why it's important is because the reservoir that was created, it was used for the cooling systems that are needed to keep the spent nuclear fuel cool at the plant. So there was a real immediate concern that there'd be a very risky situation. But what Ukrainian officials and officials from the International Atomic Energy Agency say is that this is obviously not a good situation, but there's not an immediate risk because there is a flow of cool water that can be pumped into the facility. But obviously, I mean, this is just a very tenuous situation, and there had been warnings for months from both sides, kind of accusing the other of plotting to blow up this dam. You've had multiple warnings from the International Energy Agency about how they want a buffer zone around this power plant. And now you have this happen. I mean, there's, not only risk for the people living in the low-lying areas, but there's a lot of ecological damage that's going to be caused by this. And it will be interesting to see just how this shapes the counteroffensive in the days ahead. And what Ukraine is saying is even though that the main transit route across that river has been destroyed now, it won't stop their advances south.